Senate will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Baumgardner, Cook, Coram, Court, Crowder, Donovan, Finberg, Fields, Garcia, Gardner, Guzman, Hill, Holbert, John, Jones, Kagan,
Absent. Excused.
Kafalis, Kerr, Lambert, Lumberg, Marble, Martinez Jimenez,
Excused.
Merrifield, Moreno, Neville, Priola, Scott, Smallwood, Sonnenberg, Tate, Todd, Williams, Zenzinger, Mr. President.
Here. Morning roll call. 33 present, 0 absent, 2 excused. We have a quorum. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. I move that the Senate suspend the rules, specifically Rule 1B, so that a guest may say the pledge.
The motion is to suspend the rules so that guests may lead us in the pledge. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the rules will be suspended. This morning, colleagues, Michael Matthews is with us. He's 36 years old and lives in Sugar City, Colorado. That's home for me, by the way. Michael has been receiving supported living services from Inspiration Field in La Junta for the past 10 years. Michael has a passion for helping people mainly through fixing computers or working on vehicles with his brother. Michael is currently serving on the Inspiration Field Board of Directors and is also a member of the Self-Advocacy Group. Michael is an avid Denver Broncos fan and loves participating in various activities such as fishing, hunting, and camping. Michael also loves his mom and enjoys helping her. Michael is well known in the community and has built many long-lasting relationships. Please join me, colleagues, in welcoming Michael Matthews as he leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please add Senator Martinez Jimenez to the roll. Please add Senator Kagan to the roll. Approval of the journal. Senator Court.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the journal of Tuesday, February 4th be dispensed with and that the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion is adopted. That was your last day with the script, Senator. So, Effie, we have 30 minutes, so does the Majority Leader want to? Reports to the Committee of Reference.
February 14, 2017, Committee on Finance. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 22 be postponed indefinitely. February 14, 2017, Committee on Finance. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 54 be postponed indefinitely. February 14, 2017, Committee on Finance. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 72 be postponed indefinitely. February 14, 2017, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 130 be referred to committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation. February 14, 2017, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 2 be amended as follows, and also amended to be referred to Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. February 14, 2017, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 134 be amended as follows, and also amended to be referred to Committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation. Recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 14, 2017, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 148 be amended as follows, and also amended be referred to Committee on Finance with favorable recommendation.
Senate Services.
Correctly printed, Senate Bill 179, 180, 181, 182, 183, 184, 185, 186, 187, 188, 189, 190, 191, 192, 193, 194, 195. Senate Joint Resolution 12 and 13. Senate Resolution 3, correctly engrossed. Senate Bill 123, correctly re-engrossed. Senate Bill 36, 97, 100, 108, 109, 110, 112, and 122, correctly revised. House Joint Resolution 1003, correctly re-revised. House Bill 1019, 1030, and 1060, correctly second re-revised. House Bill 1058.
Third reading. Third reading of bills. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Bill 123.
Senate Bill 123 by Senators Priola and Zenzinger and Representatives Hamner and Wilson concerning a high school diploma endorsement for biliteracy.
Senator Priola.
Thanks, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 123 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 123? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 123 on third reading. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 123 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Crowder, Senator Merrifield, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Fenberg, Senator John, Senator Fenberg again, Senator Garcia, Senator Kerr, Senator Todd, Senator Williams, Senator Court, Senator Kafalis, Senator Donovan, Senator Moreno, Senator Fields, Senator Jones, Senator Kagan, please add the president, and Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having voted on the prevailing side, I move to reconsider Senate Bill 123.
Motion before the body is the reconsideration of Senate Bill 123. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will proceed with the reconsideration of Senate Bill 123. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 123.
Senate Bill 123 by Senators Priola and Zenzinger and Representative Hamner and Wilson concerning a high school diploma endorsement for biliteracy.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you. We move Senate Bill 123 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 123? Motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 123. Are there any no votes? Senator Neville, Senator Marble, Senator Lambert, Senator Lundberg, Senator Cook. With a vote of 30 ayes, 5 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 123 is readopted. Co-sponsors. If you already did, you don't need to again. Unless you're Senator Fenberg. Consideration of resolutions. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 9.
Senate Joint Resolution 9 by Senators Gardner and Cafalas and Representative Arnton Rankin concerning Awareness Day for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Joint Resolution 10009 and request that it be read.
Mr. Carpenter.
Senate Joint Resolution 9 by Senators Gardner and Cafalas and Representatives Arnton Rankin concerning Awareness Day for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Whereas, for over 50 years, Colorado's community-based services system has led the way for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities to receive services and supports that afford them greater independence and community interaction. And whereas Colorado's community system for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities has a long, proud history of enabling individuals to move from large institutional services to smaller community-based integrated services that offer personalized assistance and support. And whereas Colorado's community system for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities helps individuals obtain meaningful employment in a variety of settings, allowing them to work and build relationships within their communities. And whereas Coloradans with intellectual and developmental disabilities in every county across the state are able to live, learn, play, and work in their communities with the dignity, choices, opportunities, and responsibilities afforded to all citizens due to the services and supports provided by local community center boards and program-approved service agencies. And whereas there is significant demand across Colorado for services and supports for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and waiting lists for services are growing. And whereas today more than 20,000 Coloradans with intellectual and developmental disabilities receive high-quality services and supports through community-centered boards and program-approved service agencies. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 71st General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that we, the members of the Colorado General Assembly, proclaim February 15, 2017 to be Awareness Day for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities in the state of Colorado. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to community-centered boards and organizations that provide services and supports to adults and children with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families throughout Colorado.
Senator Cafalas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please be seated, folks. Good morning, colleagues. I'm very happy and honored to be a co-prime sponsor of this Senate Joint Resolution 009 with the Honorable Senator from El Paso County. I just had a couple of words that I wanted to share with you. First of all, I want to affirm and acknowledge the community center boards in my community in Fort Collins or in Larimer County. We have Foothills Gateway. I also want to affirm and acknowledge the good work of the PASAs. These are the program-approved support agencies, and they are also very vital for helping persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities to integrate as much as possible into the community in terms of having a life like all of the rest of us wish to have. There's been a big emphasis on a competitive integrated employment, and these organizations play a vital role. So it's good that we take the time to acknowledge them and to do this in a bipartisan, in a consensus kind of way. I wanted to also acknowledge, having worked in this arena on and off over the years, that the hard work and contributions of families, friends, residential home providers, and what are referred to as natural supports in the community. And these obviously these are critical. There are many caretakers, parents, families, friends who are helping folks to be as independent as they can be. So I think while it's not acknowledged in the resolution, I think it's important for us to, again, to affirm the families that provide support. And then one last thing I wanted to mention, just to set the record straight. There's a reference to waiting lists for services are growing, and that generally is the case. But it turns out that thanks to the good work of the General Assembly, and we can do good work now and then, we were able, and to the Joint Budget Committee, we were able to appropriate dollars in order to eliminate at least two waiting lists, and those are the waiting lists that have to do with children's extensive support and supported living services. It is correct that regarding adult comprehensive services, developmental disability services, there still is a waiting list. But all that said, this is a day to honor and affirm the good work of these organizations and of the families. Thank you so much for listening.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my thanks to my friend and colleague, the senator from Fort Collins, for being my co-sponsor on this Senate joint resolution. I want to affirm and acknowledge as well my Community Center Board, the Resource Exchange, as well as the President's Community Center Board, StarPoint, which is a community center board with whom I also have a special relationship from my time representing that area in the House. I will very briefly, I know everybody groans because he may bob it, but seriously, members, when I came to the House 10 years ago, this community and this issue of services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities was not on my radar screen. You know the issues that all of us talk about on the stump and we get asked about on the stump, but to my great and good fortune and my own personal growth, the community and the community center boards and ARCs and other providers found me and asked me to help them with legislation and help them with funding. And as I looked back on my service in the House, and I hope it will be so for my service in the Senate, I looked upon that work across the aisle with people like my friend and colleague from Fort Collins as being the most rewarding work. And so if you're not engaged with your community center board or your ARC, if you don't know those folks, if you don't know the fantastic, wonderful people who they serve, I encourage you to engage and get to know them because they are doing marvelous and fantastic things in your community. The people with intellectual and developmental disabilities are doing great and fantastic things in the community themselves, working and serving others and being a part of our community. And with that, I just ask for your unreserved support for Senate Joint Resolution 009. Thank you.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also stand in solidarity with the two former senators on SJR 17009. In the 4 short years that I've been here, I've seen a transformation of this body, and it has been a very positive one for the IDD. You know, in the San Luis Valley, we have what they call Blue Peaks. I would like to give them a shout out, you know, for what they do, as well as everybody involved in this issue. But the transformation that we have seen from basically very little support to a great considerable amount of support has been very, very rewarding. And I think we need to carry this on. You know, these are people that are disadvantages, you know, that have the disadvantage, but I think we are making a tremendous impact on this, and I would hope that that would continue. But again, I do support this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President. I renew my motion, our motion for the passage of SJR 009.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Joint Resolution 009? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 9. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 9 is adopted. Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. I move that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors to SJR 009. Thank you.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 12.
Senate Joint Resolution 12 by Senators Holbert and Smallwood and Representatives Ransom and Buckner concerning recognizing the achievements of Rocky Vista University.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate Joint Resolution 12 lay over to Tuesday, February 21st.
The motion is to lay over Senate Joint Resolution 12 till Tuesday, February 21st. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Joint Resolution 12 will lay over. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of the Senate Resolution 3.
Senate Resolution 3 by Senator Tate concerning the designation of February 19th through the 25th, 2017 as Engineers Week.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Resolution 3. Members, engineers are some of our most talented members of our community. They use their scientific and technical knowledge and skills in creative and innovative ways to fulfill society's needs. I think many of us have an engineer in the family, and with this resolution today, we are proclaiming next week, February 19th through 25th, Engineers Week. And I urge and I vote, and members, I will make an introduction here.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Resolution 3? Motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Resolution 3. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Resolution 3 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Okay. Thank you. Co-sponsors. Senator Merrifield, Senator Todd, Senator Holbert, Senator Garcia, Senator John. Senator Tate, would you like to make a motion?
I did. Actually, I had my hand up earlier.
Sorry. Senator Tate.
Mr. President, I move that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Members, thank you, Mr. President. Members, we are here joined today by representatives of the American Council of Engineering Companies. If we look back here in the corner, that organization is a body of most of our engineering firms in the state of Colorado. Next week, as part of Engineers Week, they will have I guess what might look like a trade show, but they'll have a full display of the engineering talent and project work that our engineering community produces for the state down on the first floor on the north side of the building. And I certainly encourage everyone here to take some time next week to look at the displays. But for the time being, since we're here just to announce it here, could we give a round of applause welcoming our guests? Thank you, members.
Thank you, Senator. Announcements. Okay. Now let's do committee reports first.
February 14, 2017, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. House Bill 1047 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to Committee of the Whole. The favorable recommendation and recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 14, 2017, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 129 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to Committee of the Whole. The favorable recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 14, 2017, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 140 be referred to the Committee of the Whole. The favorable recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 14, 2017, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. House Bill 1017 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. A moment of personal privilege, please.
Granted.
You know, colleagues, I'd like to take a minute of your time to introduce you to a pretty spectacular group of young kids from Plainview High School. But what was interesting, I got on their website this morning, and they show this announcement for today. It says Wednesday, February 15th, students at the Capitol Tour, 6th through 12th grade. Bus leaves at 4:30 a.m. You know, and talk about a bunch of bright-eyed kids here. But it's great to have them up here, you know, and it's a small school in eastern Colorado. But if you would, please join with me in welcoming the Plainview School, grades 6 through 12 from Plainview, Colorado. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, you should have been receiving emails about an event tomorrow that is important. This is the 4th annual Human Trafficking Awareness Day, and if you haven't already noticed, there's quite an interesting display on the first floor of the Capitol that I encourage you to take a look at. There will be a program over the lunch hour tomorrow, Human Trafficking Awareness Day, and a lot of this is being sponsored by the group out of southern Colorado to educate people about this issue. So that is tomorrow.
Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, you should have on your desk a flyer that talks about the Legislative Sportsman's Caucus again tomorrow in room 112. I just wanted to say that our last meeting was quite a success. There was about 17 or 18 legislators that showed up that's interested, and I'm sure we all are interested in hunting and fishing and the land here in the city of Colorado. So please, if you have the time, please attend the Sportsman's Caucus luncheon tomorrow. It is those hot dogs again that everybody loves. That is at 12 o'clock tomorrow in room 112. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. And again, members, remind you of the tour that's being put on this Friday afternoon. I'm sure they're going to take us all up to Evans and discuss their field operations and leak detection. I somehow suspect that that might be an issue that will come up later in the session, so it would be very good for all of us to be well informed. Thank you.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I would like to take a special moment to recognize my daughter who's here on the bench, Laura Gardner. Many of you who served with me in the House will remember Laura was my aide a decade ago. And I think about all of the people I know who've our staff and others who've had babies and people who've graduated and moved on, and my daughter, who was my aide, is now my associate attorney in my office. I'm not sure who's running the store, Laura, but maybe we'll manage. It's doing much better this year with you there. I love you. My daughter, Laura.
Any other announcements? Quickly, committee reports.
February 14, 2017, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of Mayor's Committee recommends the following: House Bill 1018 be referred to Committee of the Whole. A favorable recommendation. Recommendation be placed on the consent calendar.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we will come back this afternoon to read some bills over. I think we have some House bills to read over. With that in mind, Mr. President, I move the Senate stand in recess until 1:30 p.m. today.
Motion before the body is for the Senate to recess until 1:30 p.m. today. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The aye has it, and we will be recessed until 1:30 p.m. today.